Good afternoon, traders. This is Christian from Hertz Tribeca Trade Group, and it is Tuesday, March 30th. So one more day of the trading month. That's tomorrow, and then we've got one more day, and then we're off on Friday. So we will get the first day of the month. So it should be it should be another interesting day tomorrow. Today was another one of these weird days where you just get something a little bit different. It seems like every day. There was some nice trading opportunities once again, and I think that overall, that's kind of what we're getting with this market. Is it's much more appetizing for day traders right now. I think it's quite opposite of what we've seen over the last year. Most likely it was more for swing trading, more more for holding positions, a lot more moves in the overnight market last year. This year we're kind of coming into the day a lot of times flat, not too much of a move. Just like I think Sunday night futures, coming into Monday morning, there isn't too much of a move there. Usually the market kind of figures out what it wants to do around 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning. I think that also has to do with what interest rates are doing. For example, if yields are going higher, if you look at bond futures pre-market, around 6 o'clock in the morning, if they decide to make a move, the equity futures are going to do that, particularly on the Nasdaq side and on the small cap side. We'll get to those small caps in just a second. But yeah, it's kind of flipped around. And, we don't know if that's going to change. But I don't see that many people talking about that yet. But I've just been kind of noticing that for the last week or so, is that we're just not getting these big overnight moves anymore. It's like 10 basis points sometimes through most of the night, until you get to about that 7 o'clock time frame. And then, it's a lot of opportunities to scalp. So this was not what we really had for the market again last year, not regarding like what's going on right now during the cash session. It's very whippy. It's a lot of times we're not really getting much of any trend right now. So we don't really know if this is going to continue until April. For now, that's the market that we have. It'll be, depending on what direction, up or down, you get like two steps in one direction and then two steps or one step in the other direction. It's very, very whippy, and it's difficult to really get a handle, I think, on this market day to day. It's just not consistent. For example, the small caps. The small caps were leading lower yesterday out of the major indices. Again, I look at the S&P, the Qs, Nasdaq, small caps, and I do incorporate the Dow now a little bit more because that's been trending the most out of any of them. But yeah, if you look at that big candle yesterday, what was the percentage in small caps yesterday? So let's take a look here. Yesterday, small caps finished down 2.8%, and they're up 1.7%. I discussed this a little bit in the TTG member weekend video, just talking about for day trading purposes. I know some people back in the. I don't think there's as many people do it. Trade S&P futures because it just got too hard, and it really wasn't where the alpha has been over the last couple of years. And I still don't think, I don't think it is either now. But if you were to take that route and trade index futures, I think small cap futures would be the one to be trading right now. You could see some of the moves. Last week you had you had a couple days down to, one day down 2.3%, another day down 3.6%, and then you bounce back and you have it over 2% day. So, and almost another 1.8%, and that's continuing this week. So big back and forth action. And if I'm going to repeat what I just said, but if you can kind of be neutral, you could kind of take advantage of these swings. A little bit. So again, it's a different type of market. I don't know if that's going to continue into next month, but for now, that's what we're getting is just very, very, back and forth action. And if you're holding positions, trying to swing trade more or less, it's very difficult. And what I've been saying now for a good couple weeks is it's extremely difficult to be holding option positions into this back and forth price action, because you will just lose back and forth. The more that the market goes sideways, the more that the market is choppy, unless you're being really, really active with taking them off, like in the beginning of the day, fully, rather than leaving on a position. What I'm experiencing, and because I'm more of a swing trader, so it's a little bit harder for me, but I'm coping with this market. But it's a little bit harder for me to do what I like to do, which is swing trade. So this month has been all about making adjustments. And that's one of the things that you have to adjust to what the market is giving you, not what the market is, not what you want the market to be. We've talked a lot about that between, the different areas of the market. Value has been outperforming, not so much today. Growth got a nice bounce today, and we'll have to see that whether or not the bounce kind of carries. It was nice to see some option activity, so let me dig into that. But I just wanted to talk about the structure of what we're seeing on a day-to-day basis. The rest of the indices, besides the small caps, S&P was very whippy today, all over the place. Finished down about 0.25%. Nasdaq down 0.5%. By the way, if you can't see these numbers, just wait until the video renders. I know that it's taking a long time to do that. I also sent out the screenshot on my Twitter feed. By the way, risk disclaimer, that's in front of you. Everything that we're going through in this in this video is for education purposes only. So. We talked about Nasdaq also being down 0.5% for the day. The Dow really didn't do much of anything. But again, if you look at the price action for the day, right, very, very whippy, right? A couple green bars, a couple big red bars, just all over the place, and not really going much of anywhere in terms of absolute performance. And this has been the case, by the way. It's important to kind of make sure that you're doing this every once in a while. Take a look at the hourly chart and take a look at what we've done in the last 3 weeks, right? Counting this is this week's value area. This was last week's value area. Again, you get a value area for the week when you use the 1 hour bar, and this was the previous week. So over the last 3 weeks, where have we gone? We've gone nowhere. Right, back and forth, just exploring different sides of the market. And that's why I keep saying this until it kind of sinks in, especially for some traders, that trading options in this environment is extremely difficult. Right, options work when the market is trending, when you have something that is trending. It doesn't have to be the market. If individual names are trending, you're going to get more bang for your buck. If you go sideways, right, or back and forth whippy price action, you're going to really have a tough time. And I think a lot of newer traders who wanted to really trade a lot of options, and we're starting to see that overall call option go down, and I think it's just because it's just got too difficult. So and those volumes are still heightened, but they're coming down. All right, so let's go over, so the sectors that were hot today were clean energy and solar. They really got a nice lift today. They've been very beaten up, and you could kind of see on the 1 hour chart. So for most of I'm kind of going to get to the summary of this, but for most of the growth areas, it's really too soon to know if this is just another bounce to sell, right? That has been the trend that's been working over the last month. Anytime there's been a bounce in growth, sell it, right? That has been working really well. So it's tough, and if you look at this solar ETF, right, which was one of the best performing groups, you could see we're right into resistance. So it's not to say that we can't, if they want to power through this, so be it. But I think for now, what has been working has been selling any of these bounces. So until we really get a better footing, right? And we could look at the Qs too, which we do almost every day in these videos. But it's a mess. It's it's sideways. It's trendless. It's not leaning down. It's not leaning up right now. The moving averages, the 20 and the 5, are now going sideways. So we need more price action. You really can't hang your hat on one day of price action. I talk about that. I've talked about that a couple times where we've had some good price action and bad price action. That one day is not a trend, and right now this Qs is just going sideways. So it's kind of interesting. I was thinking about this today, and I've thought about it too, in terms of what we saw last year. Right now, obviously, this was what happened last year, but it was over. This started on 220 and was over in a month. So, what is and that was bad. That was rough to deal with in a whole nother way. But going sideways too for a month is also not an easy market to deal with. And I think at some point, at the very least, you would want to, whatever's going to happen here, either if it's a big move down or, or up or whatever, just for something to happen, rather than this back and forth action. So I think that's been the most frustrating thing for a lot of traders is there's just not a lot of consistency right now. Now, this was also a crazy day because we started, interest rates were starting to go higher again, and I thought very much that it was going to be for what we've been seeing this week, in terms of price action, where it's been a lot of the value areas. It's been things like low volatility areas of the market, the consumer staples, some of the home builders, some of the industrial names, some of the financials. But that really didn't materialize today, and part of the reasoning for that was a little bit of a bounce by bonds, right? So they actually finished green. So, one of the things that I kind of started to say this morning, and I tweeted out a couple things saying, hey, we're revisiting the lows of where we were. So this is a nice hammer bar, and, we made a little bit of a higher low. We'll see, and that would bode well, right? We've talked about this many times, that if interest rates settle in a little bit and just don't have that big volatility, that could be a good thing. So, in my opinion, they don't have to rally that hard. They just need to stop going down. And that would kind of help equities kind of gain more of a footing and maybe get more of a trend to the back of them. All right. So we talked about a little bit of the clean energy stuff. Steel, continues to be strong. We continue to see a lot of option activity in that space. U.S. Steel has been a name that we've seen some call action in. I've been long that name for the last couple of weeks. I actually took profits in that name today, and I actually moved it over to MT, right? So this was another name that we're seeing some call activity. So this is trending, right? Again, you still have to be careful about chasing, because chasing in this market is getting you hurt. But at least this group is trending, right? You got a nice move here. So again, it hasn't been. I know I keep kind of categorizing value and low volatility, but there's other areas. Like, I don't consider that out of the steel group. I consider what's happening in steel is pretty risk on. Right. So again, it's a very odd market that we're dealing with. Now, they are cheaper names, so I guess you could group them as value. The home builders are strong again too, so that's another group that remains strong, right? We've talked about this XHB. We talked about it on Friday. It didn't do much of anything, just gave back some gains yesterday, but the trend is solid here, right? And the same thing with ITB. So again, this kind of gets you a little bit away from value, because I know growth investors seem to hate value. They don't want to even look at it on on Twitter. They are so laser focused, it seems, the growth people on Twitter, like they're not even, like, they can't even make an argument. They refuse to even look at names. It's pretty funny to me that they're just like, I don't want to go too much into it, but I just see, like, it's like they're only looking at that type of market. You got to look at the whole thing, right? And we've talked about this before too. If you can find, even if you are mainly a growth investor, if you can find some things that are trending that's a little bit out of your comfort zone, I just think you're going to do better than having to sit and wait for just those particular names that you like, right? Stubbornness in this market is going to cause some pain for you. Right, we know that. Right? Patience is a good thing, but there's a fine line between patience and stubbornness. Stubbornness, not good. So there are some things that are continuing to trend. The transports were up. That's another group that seems to be. I mean, so again, we point these things out in every one of these end of day videos. What areas are trending versus what areas are not. The Qs are not trending. The S&P is choppy, but there are some sectors that you can continue to kind of go to, right? So don't get hung up on what some people are saying when they're just looking at growth. Again, transports, they're they're a little bit more, they're more exciting than, say, consumer staples and so forth. But so it is what it is. There are some areas of the market trending. Just have to be open to it. The banks, I thought the banks had a chance to go today. They didn't really do much of anything. I bought some XLF calls thinking that this gets back to the high. I don't think it's extended, so I'm still in those. What's nice about XLF calls, too, is they're not expensive. So that's kind of the way that I've been playing this market, because I trade both options and stock. If it's a stock that is a bit more volatile, I'll trade the stock right now, because like I said, it's too difficult to trade options in this market. The only places that I'm trading options is for very low implied volatility areas of the market, like an XLF. All right, so let me just pause this. All right, so I always like to go over all the trades that I do. You could see, very much scalping some things. So I did put on this XLF trade. I was in target today. I hit a couple. This is how a lot of trades have been going for me. I hit a couple targets, and then what I'm doing now, which is one of the adjustments that I've been making, is just getting out of the whole trade. If it's not giving me exactly what I want, get out of it. Right? It just is not paying to stay in a lot of positions right now. So. I got out of some McDonald's that I got into yesterday. Where did McDonald's finish? Yeah, that was a good decision, right? So again, things that are not trending, there's no reason to stay in them, in my opinion. So I'm dumping stuff. As soon as I see it not start to work, I'm out, because this market, it's not, it's too some areas are too inconsistent. Right, so I'm not going to force it. I tried some Twilio back and forth today. I got out for a little bit of gains. Again, I'm not being a hero in this market. I switched. If I'm day trading a little bit of options, sometimes I go back and I go into the stock if I want to be in a little bit longer. Just too damn difficult to be in, to be in an option. Here's my exit out of. U.S. Steel. Again, look at my final exit in Twilio. Went back to my cost basis. Boom, I'm out. I like this chart, race. This is Ferrari, right? Nice trending day for Ferrari. So that trade worked. We are coming upon a virgin point of control, but I keep hearing about people buying a lot of luxurious vehicles. So what better of a luxurious vehicle, in my opinion, than a Ferrari? So we'll see if this thing can start to really trend. So that was one of my ads for the day. I did take a target in MT. Again, some of these things I'm taking small targets just so I get something in the pocket. So as I mentioned, we started to see a little bit more call activity in some of the growth areas. Listen, I gave a shot to CrowdStrike. I know the chart doesn't look very good yet. I need to see a bounce, right? And it could be a double bottom. It could not. If it breaks this Venom line, right? A Venom is an extension away from the value area. Then I've got some issues, and I'll probably have to unwind that. But for now, I want to see if this Venom holds, right? And Twilio, I was trading that earlier just because I think it's at the 200-day moving average. We talked about Twilio a little bit yesterday. I think it's an easy trade here. Why? Because you know where it's not going to work, right? 200-day moving average. Okay, so a couple other names that I think of interest. C Capital, which I kind of want, I still think this needs to prove itself here a little bit, but maybe it's carving out a bottom. Was up 5%. I looked at this a couple times today. I did not trade it. I thought about chasing it here, right out of the gate, and it's been so difficult to chase that I'm like, I can't do it. So I think that was when it was up about a little over 2%, and just continue to move higher. So Nice performance for that one. Again, I'm on my watch list. Nothing in it now. I got out of some BlackRock today. Again, I'm not staying in names here to just warehouse positions. I'm being very active. TJX probably saw the most call activity of the day, I would say, besides the steel names and so on and so forth. But I don't. I made comments about this name. It may not be exactly ready yet, but I just saw so much call activity that it interests me, and I went and I bought some stock for now in this one. If it gets above the 50-day moving average, if it gets inside value, then maybe I'll add a call position because I think they were buying June calls today. It was either June or July. Let me just check on my other screen. July, right? So this is cheddar flow. You could see all the flow, but quite a bit and repeat activity throughout the session in TJX. Now they may have been unwinding some April positions in there too, but I thought really nice. And then a couple of the blockchain names were pretty nice today. This Silvergate, right, has been holding support, bottom of value. Mara had some news after the close. Right, Mara actually is getting back to this area that it failed before. They had an announcement today after the close, so they brought them up a little bit. So, what else was there? Was there something else that let's see from our option activity channel for the day? TJX. I feel like they're Lemonade. Saw some repeat call activity. So again, some of these names I haven't seen call action in a while. So it was nice to see a pulse to some of these growth names. We'll see if this one can put in a double bottom as well. A little bit too early to see, but again, there was some call activity in there. Just something I haven't seen in a while. Again, short dated stuff. But it was active. Here was the crowd that I mentioned. June 185 calls were active. FUTU again. I did not want to trade all these names today, but this has made a nice move. It's above the 50-day moving average. Has really rallied pretty hard from the lows. Again, very very volatile name. You have to make sure that you're sizing these names appropriately because this is this was at $100. It's at 137 now. Couple other, and then we saw a lot of buying in the Chinese internet names. That was in the morning. WPM, which is a silver metal. Who knows? Maybe they know something about this one, but ugly looking trend to me. It's been moving lower. Maybe it gets it'll only take a day or two to get out of this trend and get back above the 50-day moving average. So that's one I'll be watching. All right, guys, we'll leave it there. That's enough to talk about. Talk for 22 minutes about one hell of a choppy day. But again, we're observing every day. We're making sure that we understand what type of market we're in. We're making adjustments to this crazy market, and we're making all along the way. We're observing, what's going on, and then when we really want to, go after something, we want to make sure that we've done our research, we've done our homework, and we have more information to basically do it. But I think right now, for as much as you could see me trading, right, in the trades channel, and again, a lot of scalping, a lot of getting out of some positions that I made a little bit of money in, and doing some substitutions, but it still is, you could see it. I'm not adding a ton of risk at the end of the day, because I really want to see how this market develops, right? And getting through March, I think, is also just one of those things that has to get done. All right, guys, have a great night. See you tomorrow.